Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store and online. And now, the more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free premium delivery on any bed with base. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Check it out at a Sleep Number store today.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. Try our all-new caramel protein lattes with up to 31 grams of protein and options with no added sugar.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
Level up your drink at Starbucks.
If you've ever had your anger dismissed as just hormones or been told you're too emotional whenever you expressed frustration, you know that gut punch feeling of having your reality completely invalidated. Maybe you were furious about being ignored, betrayed, or disrespected, and instead of addressing what they did wrong, they made it about how you were reacting. They turned your completely reasonable response into evidence that you're unstable, irrational, or just hormonal. And suddenly, you're defending your right to be angry instead of them addressing why you're angry in the first place. Welcome back to the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Podcast. I'm Lynn, your host. Today, we're talking about emotional discrediting, specifically how narcissistic family members and partners weaponize gender stereotypes to silence women's anger and avoid accountability. This tactic is so common in narcissistic systems because it's devastatingly effective. When a woman expresses anger about legitimate mistreatment, the narcissist doesn't address the behavior that caused the anger. Instead, they attack the messenger by framing her emotional response as inherently unreliable. They're essentially saying your feelings can't be trusted because you're a woman, and women are too emotional to think clearly. This serves multiple purposes for the narcissist. First, it completely derails the conversation. Instead of discussing their behavior, you're now defending your emotional state. Second, it positions them as the rational, level-headed one while painting you as unstable. Third, it sends a clear message to everyone around that your complaints shouldn't be taken seriously because you're just being emotional. In narcissistic family systems, this often starts early. You might have experienced your anger about unfair treatment being dismissed as teenage hormones or mood swings. Maybe when you got upset about obvious favoritism toward a sibling, it was labeled as jealousy or immaturity rather than a legitimate response to inequity. The message was clear. Your anger isn't valid. It's just your female emotions making you irrational. In romantic relationships, this looks like having your frustration about broken promises, lies, or neglect dismissed as PMS, or you being too sensitive. The narcissistic partner might roll their eyes and suggest you need to calm down or get your hormones checked instead of acknowledging that their behavior was hurtful or wrong. What makes this particularly insidious is how it weaponizes real biological processes against you. Yes, hormonal fluctuations can affect mood. That's normal human biology. But the narcissist uses this natural fact to discredit all of your emotional responses, even when they have nothing to do with your cycle and everything to do with their harmful behavior. They're also counting on internalized sexism to make this tactic work. We've all been socialized to believe that women's emotions are somehow less reliable than men's, that anger in women is unseemly or hysterical. The narcissist exploits these cultural biases to make their emotional discrediting seem reasonable. The really damaging part is how this affects your relationship with your own emotions over time. You start second-guessing yourself. Maybe you are being too emotional. Maybe you are overreacting. Maybe they're right, and your anger isn't justified. You begin monitoring your responses, trying to be more rational to avoid being dismissed again. But here's what's actually happening. Your anger is information. It's telling you something important about how you're being treated. When someone consistently breaks promises, disrespects your boundaries, or treats you poorly, anger is the appropriate response. It's your internal alarm system saying something is wrong here. The narcissist knows this. They know your anger is justified, which is exactly why they need to discredit it. If they acknowledge that your anger made sense, they'd have to acknowledge that their behavior was problematic. It's much easier to paint you as hormonal or irrational than to take responsibility for treating you badly. You might have noticed that your anger was only too emotional when it was directed at their behavior. When you were angry at other people or situations, suddenly your emotions were perfectly valid. That's because the issue was never really about your emotions being excessive. It was about you holding them accountable. This tactic also isolates you from potential support. When family members or friends hear that you're being emotional or overreacting, they might be less likely to take your complaints seriously. The narcissist is essentially poisoning the well, making others view your concerns through the lens of you being too sensitive. Let's be absolutely clear about something. Your anger was not the problem. Your anger was a healthy response to unhealthy treatment. The problem was living in an environment where expressing legitimate frustration was treated as a character flaw instead of important feedback about someone's harmful behavior. You weren't too emotional. You were responding normally to abnormal treatment. You weren't irrational. You were recognizing patterns of disrespect and mistreatment. You weren't hormonal. You were human, responding to being hurt by people who were supposed to care about you. The real irony is that dismissing someone's emotions because of their gender is actually the irrational behavior. It's the narcissist who couldn't handle the reality of your feedback, so they created an elaborate fiction about your emotional instability to avoid facing their own actions. Your anger deserved to be heard, not dismissed. Your feelings deserved validation, not ridicule. And you deserved to be treated with respect, not have your completely normal emotional responses used against you as evidence of instability. Here's something to reflect on. When your anger was dismissed as irrational or hormonal, what was the narcissistic family member or partner trying to avoid acknowledging or taking responsibility for? What were they hoping you wouldn't focus on by making the conversation about your emotional state instead? Thanks for being here today. If you're working through the ways patriarchy has shaped your family dynamics and your own internalized beliefs, I want you to know this work matters. Unlearning generations of conditioning isn't easy, but it's how we break these cycles. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure you know about the resources available to support this journey. If you're ready to dive deeper, I've created Forward Rising Academy with an Intro to Narcissistic Abuse Recovery course that is a great comprehensive course to get you started on this path. You can find that along with somatic healing sessions and our recovery workbook at waketheelephant.gumroad.com. And if you're finding value in these episodes, we have ad-free versions and bonus content over on Supercast at narcissisticabuserecovery.supercast.com. For additional resources, visit our website at movingforwardafterabuse.com. This is Lynn, and this has been another episode of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Podcast. I'll see you in the next one. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. The content shared is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, please seek help from a qualified professional or contact a local crisis hotline.
AI is transforming customer service. It's real and it works. And with Finn, we've built the #1 AI agent for customer service. We're seeing lots of cases where it's solving up to 90% of real queries for real businesses. This includes the real-world complex stuff like issuing a refund or cancelling an order. And we also see it when Finn goes up against competitors. It's top of all the performance benchmarks, top of the G2 leaderboard, and if you're not happy, we'll refund you up to $1 million, which I think says it all. Check it out for yourself at fin.ai.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store and online. And now the more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free premium delivery on any bed with base. Limited time. For JD Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Check it out at a Sleep Number store today.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.